Hi, this is Jim Cranston from 7 Every Minute and 7everyminute.com, the podcast and website by, for, and about baby boomers. Thanks for joining me tonight to talk a little bit more about life purpose, which we've talked about before, but we'll talk about more. It's a big topic. So let's get started. But first, we have to remember that we have the regular disclaimer, and that I'm not a medical professional, and I'll be talking about things that I personally find useful. So now, if you're feeling truly hopeless or depressed, please seek professional medical care help or just dial 911. Also, starting July 16th, 2022, which is just around the corner now, and available in some areas now, dialing 988 to connect you immediately with to assistance with the suicide hotline. And if you're feeling really blue, it's 800-273-8255, or just dial 988, and that should get you to somebody who wants to cover some of those topics with you and get you in a better headspace. So that's that for that. And I am back live this week. Obviously, I'm live and late. I apologize. Good friend called me just before the show happened, and so had to make the decision and really want to cut him off because he had some things he wanted to talk about. And so we got started a couple minutes late, but I'm glad you're here. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for checking. And my regular listeners may remember last week I said I was singing at a children's mass in the evening, and I just want to say that was absolutely delightful. It was really nice. I wish I could have invited everybody to join in and come along with me. And then later in the week, I also sang with the choir at a Memorial Day mass in a church cemetery. And plus, this past Sunday, I was a sponsor for a church friend who was getting confirmed. So it was a busy church week, but very enjoyable. And I bring this up mostly to encourage everyone to stay involved in something that you find interesting, and also that gets you out of the house and in contact with other people, right? There's all sorts of things going on in the world, and there's all sorts of things in life in general. But spending time with others is a good way to kind of reset your attitude and look more outside your own life and see that the world has a lot to offer. But back to the topic at hand, which is actually closely related, which is our own life purpose. First, a really important point to note is that life purpose and our life's accomplishments may or may not be completely aligned with each other. Now, if they aren't aligned, it doesn't mean that you have to be dissatisfied all the time. Perhaps you're an amazing surgeon, but your real passion is painting, right? You might continue in the medical field because you're helping people, but still you always find time to follow your passion and paint and go out and maybe teach painting or whatever. And so in that case, right, there's two things that you find satisfying, but one is really a life passion and really moves you forward and fills your soul with joy and gets you all pumped up. But ideally, though, right, our life purpose and our accomplishments do align with each other, either entirely or mostly, because this helps to keep us motivated during difficult times and also to try and perform at our very best, because by doing so, we naturally make ourselves feel better, basically in every way. So we're going to be going through a little quiz on helping us to identify our life purpose. And we'll do that in depth in another episode. But basically, we're just going to go over it quickly now. It comes down to searching for what makes us, for what things that we have done. And it just seemed right and made us excited by doing them. And that's great, but that's not really, shows us what we like to do, but doesn't show us our purpose. But, and we've talked about this before, the 7 whys, just keep asking why as you drill deeper. So kind of in the model of the 7 whys, then ask yourselves, and ourselves, not just what made us happy, but what was the role that we were doing? What task specifically were we doing? Was it, something, just think about whatever you were actually doing. Maybe it was fun to be out with friends. Okay, but what was fun about it? Well, I remember, I was acting as a tour guide. Okay, that's great. And then going deeper still, what was the job that was being done in that role or in that task? Was it, taking the tour guide example, was it that you were telling people what to do, or is that you're bringing knowledge and information to them? So what really was the job that you're doing? Was it caring for others, helping others see things they hadn't seen before, or helping to get past something they thought was impossible to do? At this point, you're down 3 levels of whys, and you're starting to get into now things. You will start to identify what your life purpose is really all about. Because as you keep drilling deeper, you start off in kind of the superficial when you're just, that was something that made me happy. And you have to keep asking why and going down further and further. you're getting down to the real reason inside you that motivated you. And as you answer those questions, keep digging deeper, you start to get a sense of what your true life purpose really is. And as we've often talked about before, it's never too late to start living the life that is fulfilling and makes us really excited. Yeah, we have talked about it maybe different now that we're older, but we can still find ways to be excited about what we're doing and to be just living our lives in a way that really makes us want to keep living full, exciting lives because we're doing things that naturally align with us. And so that's kind of just the overview, quick introduction to it tonight. I didn't want to get into it too deeply because otherwise we'll end up having, another 20-minute or half hour or whatever podcast. I know those are a little long. We'll be breaking this down into a course also. But so I did want to just go over those and kind of what your appetite is, the sort of things that we're going to be going over. And then something else I talked about last week, one fun bit of news, because I had said that I was going to be changing my focus and wanted to focus back more on the show and the courses, and I have started on that. And so I did write the outline for my first course, which I mentioned long ago, and it's all about how to write your congressperson or really anyone that you want to make a convincing statement to. So a lot of progress is made on that, and and kind of in the live your own medicine sort of thing, or follow your own rules. Just that refocusing on something that was really important to me has helped me ignore some of the foolishness at the day job and instead to kind of reorient myself and concentrate on the many great people I work with there and all the other good things in life, like my good friends. And that plays back into what I was talking about way up at the beginning, going when I went after we had the confirmation ceremony, went out to breakfast with some people, came back, and then we sang in the choir at the next mass. And then a whole bunch of us went out in 2 different groups. And it was just really nice to be with a bunch of people and just enjoy a good time. And it takes a lot of the first person stress that you tend to live in if you get too isolated from people. And instead you see that, there's a lot of fun things around. There are good people that have different perspectives. Met new friends this past weekend, which was really exciting. Have an invitation to go to Ecuador, so that could be fun. So, it was really a good time. And so I'd encourage everyone to remember, try and get out, try and meet other people. The pandemic, pandemic's officially over. COVID comes and goes. Other things always come and go. Take a chance. If you're, unless you have a health issue or something like that, I would encourage you, get out and at least interact with other people all the time. Really changes your life perspective, and refocusing on things that make you happy, again, also really helps you concentrate on things outside of yourself and expand your whole life perspective. So that's it for the evening. Thanks for stopping by. Stay healthy, care for others, but remember to care for yourself so you can always be at your very best. And of course, don't forget, please, get the URL up. The war in Ukraine obviously is still raging, and the fighting now has just gotten even worse. Putin is purposely targeting not only civilian areas, but now hospitals and other non-military targets, and especially churches, schools, and museums. He's just truly trying to wipe out the entire Ukraine peoples. If you're able and interested, please, the page of donation links is still up at ukr7.com on the screen. UKR is in Ukraine, 7 is in 7everyminute.com. Remember, one of the best ways to care for yourself is to care for others. If you can and you are able, please consider donating or encouraging others to donate at ukr7.com. And so I think, and is there anything else? I guess that's about it. So as always, be true to yourself, live a life aligned with your true goals and feelings, live according to your own life purpose. Again, thanks for stopping by. If you found something interesting, please pass it along. If not, please drop me a comment as to what you'd like to hear. Have a great week. Thanks for visiting. Remember to live the life that you dreamed of, because that's the path to true contentment. Love and encouragement to everybody, and see you next week on 7 Every Minute and 7everyminute.com. Thank you.